Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Deutsches Haus at NYU. My name is Juliane Kempfield, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to a truly special evening tonight. And now I'll put on my reading glasses, so things will get really exciting. We are absolutely delighted that we have you all here tonight. I'm also very happy that Consul Britta Wagner is here among us for the second time, actually. She was already here for last year's award, so thank you for coming. Thanks to all the good friends and colleagues of Deutsches Haus who are here tonight. Thank you for coming. We are, of course, here, and I'm enormously delighted about this, to award our third annual Volkmar and Margret Sander Prize to the distinguished president of the Max Kade Foundation, Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer. Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer has used her cultural heritage, education, and career to further the cause of mutual understanding and cultural and educational exchange between the peoples of Germany and the United States. Through her leadership, the foundation has become one of the most influential and involved bastions of promoting and strengthening the ties between Germany and the United States. And I'm going to say Germany and the United States a lot, so be prepared. Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer is a recipient of Germany's Knight's Cross of the Order of Merit, the Verdienstkreuz am Bande Erste Klasse. This is a really hard thing to say. It's very involved terminology here, and serves as director and president of the German American School Association of New York, director and vice president of the German American Partnership Program New York, director and president of Friends of Goethe New York, director of Liederkranz Foundation, and member of the advisory committee of Deutsches Haus at NYU. To name a few of her many contributions to the dialogue between Germany and the United States. A few words on the Volkmar and Margret Sander Prize. It was, as many of you know, established by Professor Margret Sander in memory of her late husband, Professor Volkmar Sander, former head of the German department of NYU and also a predecessor of mine here as director of Deutsches Haus at NYU. The prestigious annual prize, which was awarded for the first time in 2013 to Professor Fritz Stern and then last year to Gary Smith from the American Academy, is endowed with a $5,000 grant. The check is in the mail, as usual. I'm quoting Fred Ulfers. We have a little joke here, but that's what usually happens. And honors individuals who have made outstanding contributions to the cultural, political, and academic relationship between the German-speaking world and the United States. We have some variation here. I spoke with Margret Sander, who, as many of you know, resides in Germany, on the phone yesterday. She very much regrets not being able to join us here tonight. It's not easy for her to travel these days, but sends everyone here her very best regards. Each time I speak with Margret on the phone, I'm deeply impressed by how well informed she stays regarding the complexities of the transatlantic relationship and world affairs in general, and how much she cares about it. Like, I'll be listening to her talking about Germany's relationship with Russia, Germany's relationship with the US, the trade agreement, oil crises, and a refugee situation, which of course now is so much in the headline in Germany and also here, and listening to her insights and assessment of the situation, I always come away thinking we're so blessed to have somebody who cares so much about these issues. Of course, she's an older lady, so it is even more impressive to see her so engaged with the world of politics and culture. And of course, I don't need to tell you how enormously grateful we are to her for establishing this annual award thereby providing Deutsches Haus with the opportunity to honor such worthy and esteemed individuals like Leah Friedrich Pfeiffer, Gary Smith, and Fritz Stern. Their work is such a major contribution for furthering the transatlantic dialogue, which I think we all agree is still very much necessary. And as Slavoj Žižek said in his lecture yesterday, we live in very difficult times, and all of us who can make them better and make sure that we keep talking to one another, even if we disagree on some issues, deserve our praise. So thank you, Margaret. I hope one day you will see this tape and will hear us say thank you for making this possible and for supporting Deutsches Haus and the transatlantic dialogue. And also happy belated birthday. Margaret just had her birthday 2 days ago, Fred, or something like that?
Yes.
Yes, and Volkmar Sander's birthday is coming up next week on October 20th. So it's a very big birthday week. Wink, wink, Fred. His birthday is coming up too. Please allow me to also thank our good friend, Professor Friedrich Ulfers from NYU's German department for his crucial guidance and support in the preparation of making this happen. Every year we have very important and good conversations about how this all should go about, and I couldn't do it without you. Thank you. Let me also thank the Friends of Volkmar and Margret Sander, a group of remarkable individuals who for years have been great supporters of the prize and of Deutsches Haus. And many of them are here tonight, and I see some of them. So thank you for all your help and continued support. My thanks also goes to Karen Gerbavsitz from the Max Kade Foundation for her help in organizing this event. And of course, a big Dankeschön goes to my wonderful and dedicated staff, our interns, student workers, videographers, photographers, caterers, who work tirelessly behind the scenes to make every single event happening. And we do a lot of events, so they're working very hard. That said, it is a great privilege for us that tonight's laudation in honor of Leah Friedrich Pfeiffer will be held by Walter Hinderer, Professor of German Emeritus at Princeton, whom I will introduce to you now. And it's a little bit of a lengthy introduction because you've done so many great things, so bear with me. Walter Hinderer studied philosophy, history, and German and English literature in Tübingen and Munich and wrote one of the first dissertations on Hermann Broch. Before coming to Princeton, he taught at different universities in the United States. He was a fellow at the following research institutions: Institute for Research in the Humanities, University of Wisconsin in Madison, Institute for Advanced Study, Wissenschaftskolleg Berlin, and the Rosenzweig Research Center for German, Jewish Literature and Cultural History, Hebrew University in Jerusalem. In 1995, he was awarded the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany. I will not say this in German again. I will never say that in German again. I will always say it in English from now on. It's much easier. In 1998, the Alexander von Humboldt Prize. In 2006, the Austrian Cross of Honor for Science and the Arts. And in 2015, the Golden Goethe Medal of the Goethe Society in Weimar. His research interests center on German literature, philosophy, history, and politics of 18th, 19th, and 20th century. He has written extensively on German drama, poetry, literary criticism, and theory, on rhetoric and political literature, and contributed numerous reviews, essays, and articles for the Feuilleton sections of Die Zeit, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, and Süddeutsche Zeitung. He was a trustee of the American Institute for Contemporary German Studies in Washington, D.C., a member of the board of the Kurt Weill Foundation for Music in New York, and of the Foundation for Research in Romanticism in Munich. See, it's a lot. He was president and is still a member of the executive committee of the International Erich Fried Society for Language and literature in Vienna. And you're all very lucky because I did a major edit on all his publications, so we only have 3 more lines. And I hope you'll forgive me, but it was just so impressively long that I decided we'll shorten it. So his publications, among many, many others, include, and now we'll have some German, so Vom Gesetz des Widerspruchs über Heinrich von Kleist, Friedrich Schiller und kein Ende, die Deutsche Exzellenzinitiative und die amerikanische Elite-Universität, von der Idee des Menschen über Friedrich Schiller, Arbeit an der Gegenwart zur deutschen Literatur nach 1945. Without further ado, I would now like to ask Walter Hinderer to come to the podium and to present his Laudatio Laudation honorary speech for Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer.
Yeah, it is a special pleasure for me and an honor. It is not, maybe it is a laudation, but I call it a little bit differently. I call it a personal tribute to the president of the Max Kade Foundation. And probably I am going to tell you why very soon. If my memory is correct, I was introduced to Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer by Erich Markel, the first president selected by Max Kade himself, who in 1944, together with his wife Annette, had established the Max Kade Foundation. And there was a legendary founder of the Quadrillball, Ina Kessler, who recruited both of us, Lia and myself, as board members with special assignments. Not even a busy lawyer like Lia could refuse Ina's call, which in a very polite way was tantamount to a command. It goes without saying that even Erich Markel, a successful lawyer himself and a very committed executive of the Max Kade enterprise, had to serve on Ina's board. However, as I remember, of all the board members, Lia was by all means the most reliable and circumspect stalwart of Ina's board and circle of friends, for whom the Quadrillball was not only a festive event in the context of which daughters and sons of American and German parents were introduced to a broader audience, but also became at the same time an important fundraising tool for fellowships. Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer, with all her well-known energy and her expert advice, was, as I recall, tirelessly involved in many similar endeavors which supported students, special programs, and young opera singers. She is not only director of the Liederkranz Foundation with special programs which she organizes together with her husband Joe, but also president of the Friends, was just mentioned by Juliane, of Goethe in New York, director of the German Society of the City of New York, the Germanistic Society of America, and a driving force of other programs and institutions which are dedicated to further cultural, scholarly, and political exchange between the United States and Germany. I should mention, however, that Lia is also a member of the advisory committee of the Deutsche Haus, which was established by Volkmar Sander, who possessed an uncanny gift for fundraising. For another academician, it would have been difficult, if not impossible, to create the German Library of 100 Books, an excellent collection of major works of German literature and thoughts in translations from medieval times to the present. When I, as a member of the editorial board, expressed my skepticism to Volkmar that we would ever reach the goal of the projected enterprise, he put on his famous smile and responded without hesitation, "I know it. You will see." And he was right. I saw it. Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer and I have met at many occasions in New York, be it at parties in Ina's apartment, At the impressive residence of the many consul generals we encountered over the years, at Mr. Grüterich's penthouse, who at one time was in charge of the Deutsche Verein, or at meetings of the Germanic Society of America. Although born in the United States as a first-generation American of German parents, Lia saw a major mission in strengthening the cultural and scientific exchange and understanding between the two countries. Yet, I would like to emphasize that our awardee possesses a variety of talents and capabilities in a variety of areas. She majored with a BA in foreign languages in the year 1965, was an exchange student in the Université de Poitiers in France from 1964 to 65, and received in 1967 her MA in German literature and philosophy. Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer excelled also as a student of law and made it twice to the Dean's List, was editor-in-chief of the Law Review, became the recipient of the Outstanding Woman Law Graduate Award, that meant something, as well as a Dean's Award for Outstanding Leadership and Overall Excellence. With these impressive achievements, she was soon admitted to the bar of the state of New York and employed by different firms until she joined the law office of Hans Hachmann in New York. I have heard from two lawyers, from her boss, Hans Hachmann, and Erich Markel, who was a law professor at Columbia before he became the president of the Max Kade Foundation, nothing but the highest praise for their professional expertise. All three of the mentioned lawyers became presidents of the prestigious foundation. First Erich Markel from 1965 to 1999, then Hans Hachmann, originally born in Berlin from 1999 to 2003, and after 2003, Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer. It seems to me that number 3, an almost mythical prime number, became a secret talisman for our awardee. All 3 presidents were dedicated to the Max Kade ideas and goals and worked tirelessly to strengthen the exchange between scholars and scientists in the New and Old World. Kade, the successful entrepreneur, was born in October 1882 in Steinbach, Schwäbisch Hall in Germany, and arrived 1907 in New York, where soon thereafter he founded the pharmaceutical company Sieg and Kade. One of his best-selling products became the cough medicine Pertussin. I think it's still Pertussin, yeah. It's still a product which still is sold. This brilliant Swabian businessman, with his many scientific and musical interests, directed until 1965 his foundation and then appointed, as I said before, Erich Markel as president. For all 3 lawyers, the Max Kade Foundation became a central mission in their life. Many activities which their predecessors had started were intensified and extended under Lia Friedrich Pfeiffer's impressive leadership. She sponsored, for instance, a growing number of carefully selected Max Kade professors at many American universities and colleges, increased decisively the number of grants in order to make it possible for American students in different areas of specialty to study at German universities or work in German archives and libraries and collect the relevant material for their specific projects, be it a senior thesis or a dissertation. It is probably not well known that the Max Kade Foundation supported also creative writing programs in German, which were exclusively taught by German-speaking writers in residence from Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. How well such a program can work was demonstrated by one of the oldest and finest liberal arts colleges in Pennsylvania, the Allegheny College. One can even read, if one takes the time, German poetry and novels in publications by hitherto unknown American students and established German-speaking writers. For her continuous support of this successful program, the college awarded Leah at its 2011 commencement ceremony an honorary doctorate of human letters, with other words, a doctor honoris causa in the humanities. I should point out that the Max Kade Foundation supports also other programs with German-speaking writers, as for instance, the successful and well-established Writers in Residence project at the Deutsche Haus at NYU. It offers a welcome platform for spirited exchanges between artists, writers, scholars, and scientists from Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. Another important program, which was created in 1985 with the substantial help from the Max Kade Foundation, became a highly regarded center for German-speaking writers, intellectuals, literary critics from major German newspapers and universities. The director who had suggested and planned this very center, the Max Kade Center for Contemporary German Literature, is my colleague Paul Michael Lützeler from the Washington University in St. Louis. In 2002, he added another successful enterprise, the Yearbook for German Gegenwartsliteratur. And one cannot help to wonder why such a yearbook was conceived in the United States and not in Germany. It is almost a truism at American universities and colleges with programs in German that the generous support of the Max Kade Foundation has become over the years a stalwart promoter of German language, culture, and intellectual history. I experience this continuously as chair and member of the German department in Princeton and witness the excitement of the students when they return from abroad. As I said before, Leah Friedrich Pfeiffer expanded and intensified the various concepts of the foundation, which the founder and her predecessors have developed. She expanded, for instance, the Max Kade houses, which were and are financed by the foundation in both countries, in USA as well as in Germany. A dedication plate on an early Max Kade house in Colorado Springs signals the broader mission of these important centers. Protector of the arts, promoter of the sciences, mentor of the education. President Leah Friedrich Pfeiffer followed this mission closely, as she confessed in a statement in which she celebrated in 1914 the 70 years of the Max Kade Foundation. After unification in 1990, one of the major tasks of the foundation became the reconstruction of student dormitories in Germany and the financial support for building new dormitories as well as libraries. In 2014, already 22 such houses or centers existed in various German cities and 34 Max Kade houses in USA. An impressive accomplishment indeed. Our awardee, Leah, even increased the numbers in Germany to 28. She promoted Max Kade houses in Erfurt, Frankfurt am Main, Frankfurt an der Oder, in Kassel, Marburg, and Siegen. One can also add the Max Kade house in Karlsruhe with 212 rooms for students, as well as the Max Kade Hall in Bochum. The financial support amounted in these cases to over $2.5 million. In the previously mentioned statement, our awardee describes the differences with regard to financial support in USA and Germany. Whereas in Germany, the foundation invests mainly in properties, the most important task in OSR is the support of exchange programs for professors, bachelor and master candidates and postdocs. Leah stresses also another area which became a special mission for her, the support of cultural programs with special emphasis on music. The foundation promotes, for instance, as I have mentioned before, young promising opera singers. It is remarkable indeed. The Max Kade Foundation provides presently financial aid of yearly $4 to $5 million to different programs. It is interesting to note that the founder Max Kade, according to Leah, never believed that this foundation would make such an important impact on the academic and cultural world for so long. In 1969, he expressed his skepticism as follows: "In 50 years, everything will be forgotten. We and the Max Kade Foundation, and it is not a great pity." If this modest and generous Swabian businessman would have been able to witness what the vigorous third president of this foundation achieved and will achieve for many years to come, he would be more than pleased, if not excited. Maybe now it is a time to say a few personal words about my experience with the Max Kade Foundation. The foundation did not only generously support our different Princeton programs of study abroad in Germany, but also several of my international and interdisciplinary conferences on major German writers and other topics, which I have organized with colleagues in politics and history. When I helped 4 years ago to found the American Friends of Marbach, with the intention to develop a program which brings American scholars and students to the outstanding German archives and introduce them to the treasure trove of major documents of eminent writers, poets, philosophers, and bequests of major publishing houses from Cotta to Surkamp, the idea immediately appealed to President Leah, and she supported it with fellowships. The American Friends of Marbach became, in the meantime, a growing community of present and future scholars with important research topics relevant to the rich archives. Leah also provided a very generous amount for the necessary improvement and modernization of the rooms of the much appreciated Kollegienhaus in Marbach, with apartments for present and future scholars. Because she wants to stay abreast with all the many projects which had enjoyed the past and present support of the foundation, she spends every year a few weeks in Germany and inspects finished buildings and analyzes new prospective objects of interest which need financial help. No wonder that President Leah Friedrich Pfeiffer became the most admired American in major and smaller German cities with universities, archives, and libraries. It is not only because of the support they received or are hoping to receive, but for her impressive ability to find the best solution for each case. When Leah and her husband were visiting, among other important places, Marbach and Weimar, all the directors of the different archives were full of praise. They also appreciated especially the president's unusual knowledge of the institutions and their work. The director of Weimar's beautiful Duchess Anna Amalia Library, with the famous Rococo Hall, an UNESCO World Heritage building, told me last year that without the spontaneous and generous support by the Max Kade Foundation and the leadership of President Leah Friedrich Pfeiffer, it would not have been easy to save the precious building and large parts of the irreplaceable collection from the 19th to the 20th century. What has happened? On the evening of September 2nd in 2004, a horrible fire broke out in the historic building, and the attic and the third floor were seriously damaged. The Klassik Stiftung in Weimar did send out emergency calls to foundations, cultural and political institutions, and prospective private sponsors to ask for help. Dr. Michael Knoche, the director of the Anna Amalia Library, and his team did an outstanding job in restoring the unique building and a number of damaged manuscripts. Leah Friedrich Pfeiffer and her husband were delighted when they were guided last year through the completely restored Duchess Anna Amalia Library. Another success story in which the Max Kade Foundation had played an important role. If one would prepare a detailed list of all the achievements Leah has accomplished within the 12 years of her presidency, one can only wonder how she could have accomplished all this with a small staff in such a short period of time. She became rightfully a much admired institution for cultural, scholarly, and scientific exchange between German-speaking countries and the United States. No wonder she received various honors and awards, as for instance, the mentioned Doctor Honoris Causa of Humanities, Germany's Knight's Cross of Order of Merit, and the Piscator Award. It is with the greatest pleasure that I congratulate my longtime friend Leah on the prestigious Volkmar and Margaret Sander Prize, which was for the first time awarded in 2013 to the eminent historian Fritz Stern, and in 2014 to Gary Smith, the founder of the Einstein Forum, who became in 1997 the executive director of the American Academy at Berlin. And the third internationally acclaimed awardee, you remember the mythical number, Leah's secret talisman, became today our much admired president of the Max Kade Foundation. In the name of all Austrian, German, and Swiss scholars, students whose research and scholarly exchange abroad was supported by you, and all the musicians, writers, and opera singers whom you have helped in all these years, I would like to thank you very much for all what you did for us. I wish I had the musical talents of a composer. Then I would have written for you a festive concert for trumpets. But it is a comfort to me and all your many friends and grateful fans that you are going to continue your amazing work with your spirited and familiar zest for many years to come. Thank you.
It is now my great honor to award you with our third Volkmar and Margaret Sander Prize certificate and flowers. And I will hold it.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, you can hold it?
I can
All
hold
right.
this.
Okay, good. I should mention that we're so grateful, first of all, that you accepted the prize and that you came here. And I, if I may say that, Leah just recently had a surgery, so walking isn't so easy for her yet. And so it's even more special that you made it tonight. And that's why I was a little concerned that she perhaps couldn't hold this. But
Yes.
Here are
Thank
the
you.
flowers.
This I'm going
So
to.
I'll just
Thank you
keep
very
it like this,
much.
and we'll put it back there,
Yes.
and we'll give you the flowers later
I
to
put
take
that?
home, and I'll take this back
Yes.
too. And thank you again for doing such
Thank
a
you very
wonderful job for the transatlantic dialogue and the relationship between the German-speaking world and the United States. You are a most worthy recipient of that prize, and I'm so happy that I've gotten to know you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I am astounded at what you have done. Walter, thank you very much. My very dear friend and Juliana and Mrs. Sander, Professor Sander, and I assume you have a board or for the award. Thank you very much for this very special honor. As you might have heard, I'm a first-generation American of German descent. My mother was born in a small town near Düsseldorf, arrived in the United States at the age of 14 as a teenager in 1928. My father was born in Hamburg and entered the US in 1926. My parents were always involved here in New York City in the German-American community and worked very hard to instill in me the love of their homeland, to speak the German language, and to learn the culture. I have been very fortunate to have been influenced by their ideals. I am a graduate of Syracuse University with a BA in German Studies and an MA. After several years of teaching and raising two children, I changed careers, went to law school, and practiced law for many years here in New York City. Before even going to law school, I was very fortunate to have been involved with the Max Kade Foundation. Only when I officially became a member of the board of directors was I able to understand the scope of its grant giving, the mission of the foundation, and intense interaction intellectually and culturally between various universities both here in the United States and in Germany. Literally thousands of American students continue to be exposed to the diverse opportunities to study abroad, and the foundation continues to further its many programs today. A question often asked, who is Max Kade? Appropriately stated, as Walter said, was a plaque at Colorado College in Colorado Springs. He was the protector of the arts, promoter of the sciences, and mentor of education. A native of Germany, Max Kade was born in 1882, arrived in the United States in 1907. He was the 11th child of 12 children born to parents who lived in Steinbach by Schwäbisch Hall. His father was a well-known industrialist in Steinbach, but rather than enter his father's business, Max Kade decided to leave his hometown shortly after the death of his beloved mother. First, he traveled to Antwerp, then to Montreal in 1904, and finally arrived in New York City in 1907. Here in the States, he was able to become a successful entrepreneur. Along with a partner whom he met in Berlin, Max Kade founded a pharmaceutical company, Siek & Kade. The company obtained the rights for the manufacture and distribution of a cough syrup known as Pertussin, the precursor to the whooping cough vaccine and to the well-known cough syrup that we still buy today, Robitussin. After several years, Max Kade acquired his partner's shares and became the sole owner of the corporation. In 1954, Max Kade sold his company to Chesebrough Ponce and endowed his private foundation with the majority of the funds received from this transaction. In tracing the historical development of the foundation, one must understand the many years of personal philanthropy of Max Kade and his wife Annette. The incorporation of the foundation took place on December 20th, 1944, and was a culmination of the Kade's program for contributing their private wealth to serve for the public purpose. The first great task which fell upon the new foundation was in the field of war relief. The area of the foundation's activities quickly widened after World War II to include not only cultural and educational projects in Germany, but also to participate in similar programs in the United States. As many creative endeavors, the foundation grew during the initial phase of its history from a small seed with relatively limited assets and activities to a well-endowed foundation which began to improve its worth for more effective giving as the funds grew and the purposes broadened. In the course of these many years, the foundation has carried out a broad program and has shown a steady increase in size and scope. It has advanced and strengthened institutions of higher learning both in the United States and in Europe. Our grants have supported hundreds of projects and encouraged many gifted students and creative scholars. Universities and colleges have been at the center of our activities and have received the greater part of the Foundation's proceeds. In the field of higher education, the Foundation provided scholarships, fellowships, and grants to assist colleges and universities. Its activities included the exchange of scholars and students, establishment of student dormitories and language centers, assistance for the publication of books and medical research. It provided grants for the training of language teachers and made donations to leading national and international educational exchange institutions. In the general area of philanthropy, the Foundation has provided funds for the reconstruction of neglected historical housing in Germany and provided grants to institutions and museums for programs involving the arts. Language immersion and cultural integration remain core components of our vision. As any foundation, we review our activities periodically, reevaluate our mission to encourage diverse cultural experiences. It is for this reason that the Foundation also sponsors programs and scholarships to emerging young singers who are in pursuit of excellence in the world of music. Today, the Max Kade Foundation is a proud supporter of the Metropolitan Opera and their Young Singers group. Among the largest undertakings were those in the field of student housing, known as Max Kade houses. The dormitories in Germany were affiliated with well-established universities. The very first Max Kade house was built in 1952 in Stuttgart. This 18-story construction was renovated only 2 years ago. Currently, there are 35 completed Max Kade houses. 5 of these houses were just opened within the last 6 months. In the US, we currently have 37 Max Kade houses and institutes at prestigious universities throughout the United States. The basic principle which inspired the Foundation to fund the construction of dormitories was the belief that a dormitory should not merely be a convenient place for storing one's possessions and for sleeping, but a home where the student may continue his intellectual pursuits by formal exchange within his peer group. The Max Kade houses were designed to provide living quarters for students to encourage the development of close personal ties among US and foreign students, provide a forum for the discussion of mutual problems, and to increase understanding among future scholars. The prime purpose of the Foundation is to sponsor programs that encourage diverse cultural experiences, which in turn further the mutual understanding within this diverse world. While the Foundation was seeking to find ways in which to solve the practical problems of student housing, it did not neglect its role in promoting the exchange of students and scholars. The Foundation's activities in the field of higher education generally led it to develop the important mission of the exchange of postdoctoral scholars. Currently, with the aid of the Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft and the Österreichische Akademie der Wissenschaft, we sponsor approximately 12 to 15 postdocs annually to pursue academic research at various acclaimed research institutes in the United States. Many former Max Kade fellows are now engaged in independent research and hold prestigious teaching positions at top universities and prominent research institutes throughout the US and Europe. Along with the support of graduate language fellowships, the Foundation implemented an essential program for the universities with a strong German department. the Max Kade Distinguished Professor and Writership Awards, or programs. This particular program enriches the intellectual development of undergraduate and graduate students, assures the visiting professor support of his research, and gives recognition, strength, and vitality to the recipient university. This particular program has become our most popular vehicle of exchange. It is impossible to list all the contributions, large and small, which the Max Kade Foundation has made since its inception almost 71 years ago. As Walter had said, Max Kade never thought that the foundation would survive this long. I'm proud to say that it is doing its job and continues to do it, as well as we hope the stock market will rise again. Many thanks should be given to Erich Markel and Hans Hachmann for their commitment to the ideals of Max Kade during their tenure as president. I have learned from my predecessors. Today we use the phrases globalization and diversity in education. These very terms exemplify and remain core components of the Foundation's vision from its inception. In this ever-changing global society, the fostering of cross-cultural understanding and transatlantic exchange have become more relevant concepts in our society today. And I am very honored to accept this award, and thank you very much.
Thank you, President Leah. I love this term. May I use it? What a wonderful speech. And if we hadn't decided to award you this prize before now, we surely would. So thank you. And also, what a great German-American success story in terms of Max Kade, in terms of your parents and yourself. And when I think of the next generation of German-Americans, my daughter among them, I'm very proud. A musical performance of Lieder by Franz Schubert with Christina Bachrach, soprano, and Miyori Sugiyama, piano, will now conclude our award ceremony. Thanks go to Michael Brofman, the artistic director of the Brooklyn Art Song Society, a wonderful partner organization with whom we've presented many splendid concerts here at Deutsches Haus, and who was so kind to arrange for the performance of Christina and Miyori. I would also like to thank again the Friends of Volkmar and Margaret Zander, because if they hadn't generously provided us with a piano, we would just listen to the soprano but have no piano. So thank you guys once again. Great job. Thank you. What we will hear, actually, we will hear Heideröslein, Little Rose on the Moor, Lachen und Weinen, Laughing and Crying, Du bist die Ruhe, You are Rest, and Ganymede. So please enjoy our concluding performance and welcome the performers. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Maori, for this remarkable, beautiful, and very touching performance. Thank you, President Leah. Thank you, Walter. And thank you, Margaret. And thank you all for coming. And now please join us for a glass of wine and some quiche, vegetarian and non-vegetarian, and some Apfelstrudel and Sachertorte. Thank you for coming.